but I think I'm still going to call. And hope for the best. And he had Jack 9 suited. He floated me with complete bananas.
I mean, it's possible that there's a bunch of bananas going on in this guy's game I'm not aware of. I'm talking about soiled bananas too, not fresh bananas. Fresh bananas are another story.
Do you want the best of our proven CFP program without the long-term commitment? Then go over to the site pokerambition.com/mechanics.
All right, jumping in the middle of the action. Playing 2 tables of a 5-nail zoom as usual. It is a very weird time for me as it's Sunday night, 8 o'clock. Not a day on which I normally play, not a time on which I normally play. But when you guys see this, I'll be zipping coconuts from the Brazilian beaches. Beaches, B-E-A-C-H-E-S. And so I quickly still had to make one YouTube video that is then planned to be released in the future before I leave, which is not tomorrow, but the day after. So here we are on a Sunday night, grinding out some 500 zoom. So let's try to make the best of it. I had some technical difficulties starting up, which can make me a little bit irritated. So let's see if this irritation gets transferred to the poker tables. I hope not, of course. If not, we should make a little deep breath.
I am lucky, I am skillful, and I will win. You gotta feel it.
Pocket 8, check calling 1. Don't necessarily mind the lead on the turn here. We have good suits to do it with as well, so let's go for it. Here we face a lead. Don't really have anything going on, so I'm just going to fold this one. And I think on the river, we're just going to check and hope he checks back and like pocket 6s or 7s. Or a queen high. He had queen 10 of hearts. Doesn't really seem GTO. But hey.
Fuck GTO!
6-7 suited can make a lot of pretty things, so let's see. At least you have a 6. Could raise this. But especially versus 1/3, but I don't know if versus half pot I want to do a lot of raising. Probably would, we might want to do some raising. Let's start off with a call. Versus 1/3 I would have definitely raised. And easy fold on the turn. Ace Jack gonna start over with a C-bet. Cut off versus big blind, face a big check raise. So I'm going to fold. Gonna raise here with the ace 4 versus, I don't know. ISO here versus Pablo. Very bad flop. Very bad flop. Do I want to keep the initiative though with a bet? I would say usually yes. Even though our hand is pretty shit on many fronts. And I think on this turn I'm just going to check fold. Even though I am just tempted to blast it off, but he doesn't really have much. That's kind of the problem in terms of money wise. I expect him to now raise some strong hands here on the turn, so that when he calls, I think his range is quite weak. The king is actually quite interesting. Gonna do something funky. Okay. So that was, I mean, not necessarily ace king, but for example, hands like king 10, king jack, king queen, ace jack, ace queen. Those were actually hands that I was planning on barreling off against. And then when I actually hit at the king, and I mean also like maybe a low pocket pair or something, but mainly on these boards, I would say high cards and like some lower pairs, especially if a Broadway hits or something. But then when we actually hit a king, we can suddenly try to induce a little bluff and make a little tickle bet. Try to tickle him by the balls, so he does something funky. 9-10 off, 2.5 is close. Go for the fold. It's 500 NL zoom. A little bit higher stakes with lower rake I would have called. But yeah, I think in general it's a fine play. Here we flop the absolute nizzles on a board that, I mean, a deuce should be pretty irrelevant. I think actually I'm gonna slow play this one. Having basically the whole board. This one, gonna open sometimes, not this time. And we face what we wanted to face. Also because we're playing versus a guy who I don't really know. So let's just have him do something random. The 9 should not have hit him that often. Okay, he did snap check back, but probably had a 9 somehow. Yeah, the queen 9 suited. Easy call here to the 3-bet. Without the backdoor's not going to raise. Would like to have some more equity to do that. And on turn, I think we're just forced to fold. Trying to think what is better, ace queen or king queen. Actually, maybe it's a bit closer actually than I think. Maybe it's actually still quite close. Not really sure actually. We're in the turn facing the 3/4. We first actually wanted to take a look at the barrel range. It's actually, the solver is actually not barreling king 10, queen 10 suited here on the turn all that often. I do think actually that happens a little bit more in game, which would make it good for our hand. But we can actually see that king queen is usually just folding, and it's the mainly just in jack X that we're continuing. It's actually a spot where we even still, because I thought, for example, that pocket 8s would have been worse than king queen. So that's why I thought king queen might have been a better call, but I do think that this definitely gets barreled more often, same with king queen. And that maybe had like ace queen or ace king a bit barreled a bit less. So I would say it's obviously still close, but in hindsight, I think I would have preferred a call here on the turn. I'll look at that hand afterwards. Just check raise here with the ace king. Actually got to do something funky.
Incredibly strong and aggressive play.
Gonna call here with the ace queen. Very bad flop. I think I'm just pure folding this, even if he goes 10% or something. Okay, he checks. Because basically anything is better, except for ace jack. But ace jack off, I'm not 3-betting always, so. Gonna check back. Turn is an ace, it's good. Go with the ace 5. He checks. That's also good. I think there's not much else to do than check. You could make an argument to bet for like some, to maybe fold out like some split equity. But I think just checking down is probably just the best play. It feels maybe a little bit nitty. Do not squeeze out a bet somewhere. Actually, I'm gonna bet the river. Even though I do open myself up to getting check raised, and that's not great. But I do feel like I do feel a lot like checking back. So if I'm already wanting to check back a hand as strong as ace queen, then why would he slow play? It's kind of my my argument. Unless he has exactly ace 10. You know, blocking a lot of my calls. This guy's been going away now twice in a row, Ziduni. Luckily he didn't do it this time. Because this is a good scenario. Just range and fold. I'm going to start with a... I don't have a diamond. I don't have a club, so I'm actually just gonna check, but arguments could be made for a bet as well, I think. King Jack, I guess I would just pure bet. King 10 only with a club, and King 9 I would just always check. And I don't think this hand does much else than just check folding. He's going to have quite some king highs as well. We sometimes win. But the main problem is, yeah, if we have king high and we were trying to bluff him, we block a lot of the hands that he's going to fold. But he had 7-10 offsuit, so he had nothing. And he just decided not to bluff. Pocket 5s. Not gonna bet this board very often. 5, so I would say 50-50. I rolled high, so I started with a bet. 10-7 here, I think I'm gonna go for it. 10-4 here, I think I'm gonna go for a check raise. Some of the time. It's not great. Obviously, I would much rather have something like 9-6 or something that can turn some gutties to go with his hand. But I still think I'm not 100% sure about this one. It feels like a very shitty. Let's say I had two lower cards, like 9. Let's say I had 9-4. I would already like that a little bit more, so he has a bit more bad folds with the 10. But I cannot have it all. And on the river, I'm gonna try to get to showdown, but expect to win never. 6-7, gonna start checking with the diamonds. I only have suited, so then usually if I have the diamonds one, I will play it the most passively. Pocket 8s. Now here on the turn, I think we can go a couple of ways. Actually, I don't mind starting with an overbet here with this one. Blind versus blind, actually, these low cards are quite good blockers because top pairs that he can check back are maybe like a6, a7. And we block that now. So I actually think that's quite a good spot. And we're going to check quite some strong hands as well. So I think on the turn we're going to overbet our block. Here with pocket 8s, I'm going to continue betting. Actually, we should have just bet it bigger. I don't know why I bet it small. And the river, I think we should overbet. I think the turn we should have already sized up a bit. Don't know why I sized down. He jams, which basically now he's saying that he has a nut flush, which is quite interesting given the line that he took. Or at least he has a flush, he's saying. Since I bet at min bet and I bet at 1/3. It's a bit weird to now suddenly just show up with a flush. But on the other side, what other hand does he have? Kings with a heart. Queens with a heart. I'm gonna fold, but not sure. We'll look at the hand afterwards. Go with the pocket tens. I think he can still value bet a 9. So, or pocket tens himself. Or have a bluff. I don't know, quite some conflicting points I had there with the pocket eights. Gonna overlimp because this guy is really short. King Jack board is just very good for me, so I'm just gonna start off with a bet. And go to check the turn. Hitting a 9. Don't think there's anything else we can do. Queen 9, I decide to check and let him do the betting. See if he does something random. Interesting spot to check raise for Sanctity. He calls. Okay, then I'm just gonna go out of the way. And probably gonna go for a check. Raise with the 9-8. I think that's actually a fine play. We don't have a queen, which is good, because I think that's a hand that he could unbluff the river with. Yeah, I think it's a good spot. We buck the ace 9. We buck the ace 8. We buck jack 9. Jack 9 is actually not very relevant. Face a call in this moment, we get donked out. Okay, let's call one. Here with ace queen, let's start off with a bet ski. And probably checking the turn. Ace 10. Probably checking. Not sure actually what to do here. Could make an argument for betting this hand. And ace queen checking again. Probably calling the river unless he bombs it very big. Here we now face a bow. He goes pot. It is big, but not very big. So let's first call this guy here. Near jack 9. And this guy is saying... What's this guy saying? You really value betting like pocket fives with spades for this sizing? Oh, okay, yeah. Apparently he did. Okay, shout out to him. I would have actually thought that hand would have bet at the smaller sizing, but hey, guess I was wrong. And I guess he read the situation correctly. Very good board for me here. If I 3-bet from the small blind, I'm gonna start off with a very small bet. Raise a raise, easy call. And definitely calling the turn as well. Really like having the 9 because it doesn't block any of his potential bluffing candidates. And with the ace, we block a lot of value. So I'm quite happy with my hand. River actually, I'm going to fold. Here with the king 10. Gotta be careful to not get check jammed. These boards are very check jam heavy. So I would prefer to bet a lower equity holding than king 10 or a higher equity holding than king 10. How is it possible, Wakko, a higher equity holding? Or at least also maybe something that doesn't block some check folds. That would already actually be nice. Ace 8 can do actually a couple of things. I'm gonna go for the aggressive play here. Face quite a big bet check bet. And like I said, I thought he could go for the check raise on the turn quite often, so I do think he's gonna check strong a lot. The 9 did probably hit him in some way. Could have the 10 rivering could have hit him in some way. So actually I'm gonna fold. But this hand was quite interesting as well. The sizing here is a bit different, 2.5 to 13. So we do miss 4 big blinds in the pot. He bets half pot, which actually it's still a 50% checkboard for him. I was actually quite surprised by that, given the big blinds 3-betting range often a little bit in the middle. I think the way people usually construct their 3-bet ranges, this is quite a decent board, I would say. 3 bets half pot. And then actually I saw that we have some jams, but we are deeper. So I don't really think that is going to apply for me now. So then I think just not raising, only having calls is fine. Turn is a deuce of hearts, and we can see that it actually likes jamming instead of check jamming. But I think, given the SPR, I think if you make the SPR a little bit deeper and jamming becomes less attractive for the out of position, those hands then become check jams. He checks. And here indeed we can see on the turn that king 10 of diamonds specifically, okay, wants to never bet. And king 10 of spades, for example, wants to bet. This is kind of the concept that I was talking about. I either want to have more equity or less equity. More equity than I said 10 of diamonds. Let me see. Okay, there I was wrong. What else is more equity? In general, we're actually not really betting a flush draw. That's kind of the conclusion, right? Okay, queen 10 of diamonds is then more equity in this case. So an overcard to the jack, an open-ender. Yeah, I guess I would have made a small mistake there by betting 10-8. But it's queen 10, all right? Then goes check-check on the river versus the 3/4, so we'll close to it. In this case, he has 87. We're actually always mainly folding king 10 of diamonds, but in general, king 10 is gonna be indifferent. But here in this sim, big blind has a lot of weird range of bluffs that I'm not really sure if everyone shows up with. For example, is he gonna bet check bet bluff ace 8 offsuit? No, not really sure if he has that in his 3-betting range. But then again, he also has less jack 9 offsuit. Or so, yeah, not 100% sure. I did indeed think these hands would often check again, so that's something that's good to see. So I think the river call or fold is a bit whatever. Because it's also a very improving card for me. And the ace 8, I'm just going to check down, hope to chop versus other ace highs. So with a 4 bet here with the queen 10. This ace king board is very good for us, and we have a very good hand also to draw a little barrel ski. Would say that's still true on a 10. I'm probably going for a triple with this hand. Ace queen, very good board frame. I'm gonna start with a check back. The king obviously is very good for us. Having this queen is not ideal though. Not very happy with this queen of clubs. Actually, a board that we could have dunked, but I think the king 3 plays fine as a check. Okay, we actually do get the fold there. I'm not sure if I would have barreled that. And king 3 now on a turn can do one or two things. You can go for a check raise or a check call. I think I'm actually okay check calling this one. Don't think we're gonna dunk this river. 8 deuce, one of the few hands that actually I don't mind folding. Small versus big blind. Now we have an easy check raise here on the river. I think actually I'm just gonna jam. Don't think he has a lot of nut flushes there, the way he played his hand. And I think we were just trying to stack a lower flush. And I think it's also a spot where on the turn, we could definitely, for example, play a hand like ace 5 offsuit that way, with the ace of hearts. Also, I think ace 10 with the ace of hearts, ace queen with the ace of hearts. So I do see plenty of good bluffing candidates there for us as well. So I don't think a jam will lose a lot of value compared to a lower sizing where you will get called more often. Go for aggressive play with the ace 3. He doesn't dunk by the turn, which is interesting. He actually snap checks. Go for a check as well. He checks the river. That's not good unless he has king queen and he somehow thinks he can get the showdown. But yeah, that's more likely. A3 you can play small bet, medium bet, big bet, whatever you're in the mood for, I would say. And it's also the Jack 6-9 is also one of these boards where you can basically do whatever you want. Ace Jack actually is actually a spot where I don't mind starting to bluff with a hand like this some of the time. I used to always put this straight away in my check back, but actually blocking aces is actually quite valuable. And I think actually the jack is actually pretty valuable as well, especially when we're a little bit deeper. I think he's going to check call down with a hand like jacks. So yeah, I think actually that makes quite a lot of sense. On the turn, I think I'm going to split. And I think this hand's fine in a big bet. He jams, easy fold. Very weird spot to jam. But this guy in general is a bit of a weird guy. Why would you jam? Strucky 8-8. No clue what it is. Should check. Again, I think an okay spot to start with a bet ski. And this time we do get to check fold. I'm actually not 100% sure because normally I would just use one sizing, but because we were deeper, I felt like it was okay to use two sizings. But I could completely be off there. Let's look at that hand later. And what the fuck that turn check jam was all about. Don't really think... or at least the way that I have my range construction there in my head, don't really think that is much of a thing. Obviously, if you perceive my range to be different, like very linear and drawy and whatever. Then you can come to the conclusion that you should jam. But I'm gonna go for the random factor with this guy. Shall we do some things with king? I don't think so. We're not gonna have any bettings on a 4-deuce-3, small versus big blind. So basically, I get to the turn with my entire range, and then I think starting to bluff king highs is a bit over the top. And I think we just check fold. Don't mind 4-bet bluffing this actually some of the time. Not a lot of big betting here, but actually I don't mind it with this hand. And let's try. Let's 4-bet him again. Fuck it. Let's see how he responds to that. Okay, he folds again. 2-0 for the TheWakko. Actually, that's not completely true. This guy is already one other pots of me as well. But in the pre-flop war so far. Shall we do it again? We open these 3-bets, we 4-bet. 3 times in a row. Now the third time, this is old school logic, guys. Going 10 years back in time now. The third time they have it. Not gonna play too much big bets on this board. So this is actually definitely a hand I'm going to barrel. Sizing, I think pot is actually okay. Generally on these king high boards, you can barrel with some ace highs. And obviously, depending on the suits. So when the heart comes up, barrel your ace highs that have a heart with them. Just because then you block a little bit more folds, calls. Especially if you have the ace of hearts, you can make some big bluffs in the future when hearts come in. Okay, 3 betting and 4 betting. So I have a little 10% ski on this board. Let's see what Slapstyle makes of that. Very good turn for him. I don't think I'll have a betting range. Ace King, what does Ace King want to do? Ace King probably, I'm not sure. Not sure actually what Ace King wants to do here. Probably just call. It's a very bad river. We're now also losing versus 5-4. But I think I'm still going to call. And hope for the best. And he had Jack 9 suited. He floated me with complete bananas.
I mean, it's possible that there's a bunch of bananas going on in this guy's game I'm not aware of. I'm talking about soiled bananas too, not fresh bananas. Fresh bananas are another story.
Do you want to make 2022 your greatest poker year ever? Now, I've done a webinar on how to do that in our academy, which we have made available completely for free. So go over to pokerambition.com and let me help you achieve your goals.
No chicken song for this guy, guys. No chicken song for this guy. That's quite a wild float, I would have to say. Are you supposed to float that? No, you're not supposed to float that. Don't think pre-flop you should be in there all the time as well. So it's a bit funky. It's a bit funky. It's a bit funky. So a little donkey versus Slapstyle. Slapstyle is not biting though. No, of course not. This is this is also quite out of line. Okay, we face 200% pot from Kill's Avatar. We have a call with our king. And I would say on the river, we don't ever have a better kicker than this. In terms of like, for example, King 9 I'm most likely betting the flop with. King Queen I'm also betting the flop with. So we have no top pairs that block straights. So then what is better? King 5 or Queen Jack? I would say King 5.
You're simply the best. Better than all the rest.
Because he can bluff with a hand with a 9 in it. That's why. Slapstyles. Let's draw some runner on a diamonds dealer. Alright, that's one. I'll tip you in advance. Okay, Slapstyles goes for the half pot 66%. That's an interesting sizing scheme. I mean, we have an easy call. That's a very good river. I don't think he has much, or he specifically snap checks back now with an 8. Okay, yes, it was the second. Don't think we're gonna lead there on the river. Yeah, his sizing scheme seems or weak. I mean, seems weak. That I meant in this case. He had queen 8. Not gonna check raise here. I think if I want to check raise, I would need to have a heart. I think that in general is a fine randomizer, if you can call it like that. Definitely leading the turn. Was Sancti the one that called my led the other time with the queen that suited in the beginning? I think he was. Crazy motherfucker. It's a very good river. Here I decided to bet with the jack 9. I think arguments for suits can go either way. Like wanting to have an offsuit, not wanting to have the back doors, wanting to have the bad doors. King jack here particularly, I feel like checking. He check raise checks. Okay. I'll just throw out a small bet and go from there. The king jack, I will check again. Not really sure on the 8. I will mark the 8-9 as well in terms of river sizing. I definitely want to have some blocks again. Okay, given the fact that all these cards now start to connect as well, I am going to bet. But I thought that given the fact that we were unblocking all pairs, I thought an overbet was okay. However, he's most likely calling an overbet with a hand that has an 8 and a 9. 8 or a 9 in his hand. So that was kind of the conflict that I had. It could be that you prefer overbetting with a 5. So you get a lot of calls from Jack 8, Jack 9, maybe pocket 8s, pocket 9s. And that 8-9 actually wants to do something different. Could be. So that's why we mark hands to review them later to see if we can learn from them. So 9's here on the river, 8-9 here on the river. We can actually see that the solver does a bunch of stuff. If he has a heart, that means he's probably blocking some of Imposition's bluffs. Let me see. 9 of hearts. 9-6 of hearts. Queen 9 of hearts. Okay, so it's actually blocking some of the bluffs. And therefore, it just wants to fire out big. Because basically, then if you have the 9 of hearts and you check towards your opponent, he's going to bet less often, right? Some other suits, then suddenly it flips. So it's very suit heavy that he likes to take particular actions. Now, obviously, there are certain concepts behind that. However, in game to really nail specifically suits in this spot, it's gonna be quite complicated. Especially, for example, if there will be a clear pattern here that the 8 of hearts and the 9 of hearts would want to bet big, it's quite obvious. But now the 8 of hearts only wants to bet small. 10 Jack was indeed one of those hands where I thought, okay, definitely checking. That makes a lot of sense because he's very unlikely to have a 10 and a Jack to call you with. Pocket fives, I think also I mentioned that that's a hand that I just will always want to bet big because it can get calls from, we bet very big, probably get calls by 8s and 9s. Okay, 9s even raises. Okay, interesting. Same with pocket 8s, and obviously very call heavy with Jack 9 and Jack 8. And that's kind of the thing that I remember thinking about in game, that kind of sucks with 8-9. That's why actually also we see that the overbet isn't that common. There aren't a lot of hands that want to overbet. King 5, Queen 5, I think are the best examples, right? 5-4, because then you get called a lot by 8-9. 8-9 also doesn't mind to bet 10%. And then kind of induce a bluff raise and let him go thin, or we check. But basically 10% or check looks pretty similar. In positions now just gonna value bet a jack, and then from there we can check raise. And this is a very big advantage of checking, obviously, with a hand like 8-9, that if he then bets, we can then raise all in. For example, he now bets Jack 9, 2, we jam, and then Jack 9 probably has a call for a stack. So I don't think I played this hand optimally. These were things that did cross my mind, but I don't think I really thought it through sufficiently. I do actually like to check with 8-9. I prefer to check. I think that is actually a fine play. But as you can see, it's not a horrible mistake. It can basically do a little bit of whatever. I think it's a bigger mistake if we went for a check with King 5, which is something that I would not have done. Gonna sometimes open the Ace 5. And I'm gonna start off with a bet versus a recreational. Normally you do a lot of checking out of position, but that's because the in positions range connects usually quite well, right? But hey, we're playing versus a recreational. He has quite a wide range. It's like we're playing small versus big blind. Okay, this is how you should look at it. We're playing small versus big blind, only we have a way stronger range. That is kind of how you should view this spot, in my opinion. And I think we're just forced to check fold the turn. Don't think there's enough draws on the board to call. And obviously we're death versus a king. That's also not good. I would much rather call on a deuce or something. But I think then we would also have a gutter. But you get the point. Tutti joins the building. Hola, señor. ¿Cómo estás? Start over the c-bet. And Tutti comes in straight with the raise. First hand. Me call. Me check. Do I check? Actually, very good turn for me. I don't mind implementing a little lead here. Why not? He calls. And we got a little 1/3 value down the turn. I do think we will have some leads. We will play some leads there on the turn. I will also mark that hand to look at. Not gonna review everything on stream, but you know, for own curiosities. You had 9-10 offsuit. Yeah, we had you pretty dominated, mate. We had you pretty dominated. Ace-10 off also feels quite dominated. We like to be on the dominating side of being the dominated. If that makes sense. Jack 10. Flop, actually, you can do basically a little bit of whatever. He then raises. He actually raised the 9-10 in game. It's a low frequency raise. Turn is then the 9. It's up to us. And we can actually see a 2% dunk frequency. That's not a lot. And then Jack 10 gets dunked some of the time. So I probably would have overdone it. But I thought specifically with Jack 10, I really liked it. Call. And then river is the king. And then I think Jack 10 should just go up, right? Actually still sneaking out a little 10% bet.
I like this bet a lot too. This is really Really kind of sexy.
If you're gonna bet something, then that is then probably your sizing. Ace-5 suited, pretty hand. Let's build a pot against Fredo Pizza. You got, I think it's an Italian living in Hungary. Could be. Don't really know who it is. I'll play a bit more polarized on this board. Big bet check would be my approach. Here on the turn, gonna go for check. He starts with a bet. We have an easy call. River is a 7. That makes me want to check this. He should probably bet a 9 himself. I want to go for the check raise. And he indeed river to queen 7. I thought the 7 was unlikely. We get a check back with the ace-5. So let's say I had jack 10 there or something, I would have definitely bet the river. But I think jack 7, we can go for a check raise. So then I like checking. We checked again with the ace-5, he gave up. Here pocket 3s, I'm actually gonna throw out a little call. Everyone is very deep. So then I think flopping a set adds more value.
The last tip I have for you is on small pocket pairs. And these are hands that you can win monster pots. So when you get dealt a pocket pair, try to flop a set. Play it smooth and win all the money.
And this board is very good for us, so we start to donk. 6, it's also, let's actually also, no, actually, let's continue play some deep stack poker, why not? Normally, I think if I would be on a quote-quote normal grind, this guy's been using quite raggish sizing so far. If I would be on my quote-quote normal grind, I would just reset to 100 BB now. Obviously, you know, I think nobody is really an expert here at very deep play in online poker in general. Maybe if you play a lot of Zoom, it might actually be worth it because you can get deep quite often. But yeah, I would then just play 100 BB where I'm very confident that I know very well what to do. Obviously, it's not like 200 BB deep. I don't know what to do. I have some general principles. But like, for example, not building big pots out of position with offsuit hands. That's just, you know, a simple piece of advice that you guys can now put in your pocket. Gonna mix here on the turn. And actually, if I have a pair to go with my 10, then do I mind betting big? Bigger. Would say so. If I had a lone 10, then no. But I have a diamond and a pair. I don't know, it seems a bit better. Basically, if I have a pair, the board is less likely to pair. I think just then betting big there and folding out some nut equity of some ace high, so like ace jack or something, I think is beneficial. But you could also then make the argument then, okay, yeah, if ace jack doesn't call you, then what's going to call you? So then you kind of surpass. Oh, obviously, you know, it's nice if you can fold some equity there, but yeah. If that then comes in cost of you're not being called anymore, then that's obviously a problem. So maybe that was suboptimal. What you gonna do, Mr. Begelder? Who I have no clue. What is this? But I don't think it's a regular. That's half pot. Easy call. 6 is spade dealer for YouTube. We'll make it a thumbnail. Straight flushes all around. It's a good clickbait. No, unfortunately, that didn't happen. The ace is a bad card because he could have been bluffing with ace jack or ace queen, and now he could give up. Obviously, he can still have king jack, king queen, something like that. On turn, he could maybe have betted a set. Maybe he bets a worse flush. Okay, checks. Let's squeeze out a small bet. And hope he has a worse flush or a set or something. Dat is even funky. Bachelder. Oh, Bachelder. He's gonna do something funky. Oh, that's not great for Bachelder. Why do you do that?
Why do you do that? So dumb.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna fold. Yeah, I'm gonna fold. Okay, this is a very good board for me. Or at least, a very bad board for Maxi. And that's why I folded to 10%. But I get it. $5. Oh wait, that was 5 big blinds. So that is $25. $25 is a lot of real. You can buy a lot of nice things with that. And real is the local currency, as Max is from Brazil. With $25, today from personal experience, you already come quite far. I'm really not sure about that 7th hand. Conflict. I felt a little conflict. That's what you get for reopening the action in position. Don't try this at home, guys. And I like the queen 8 as a check raise, check raise. So that's what I will do. Try the 3-bet here with the 7-8. But hey, he didn't bite. I'm gonna still check on the river. Okay, then he probably had a medium holding. That was likely to fold anyway. Yeah, pocket nines. Pocket nines was gonna fold the turn. Not sure about the river though. This queen 8, we check raise the flop. And then on the turn, what do? We indeed see that we want to check raise this basically always. He calls. Turn is a 3. Up to us. We can see actually that queen 8 wants to bet actually quite often. But checking is, you know, if you look at the blocker score also in GTO, it's 9, which is not good in this case, right? We're blocking a lot of the calls. That's not good. This is the best blocker score I guess you can get. 5-7 would have definitely barreled. 5-8 I would have also barreled. But I thought queen 8 specifically I liked as a check. So I check. In position. Should bet actually his draws most of the time. Okay, so he's betting that quite often. It kind of depends. The more he bets, so let's say it goes check, check, and the river queen 8. Again, it is checking some of the time. And if it bets, still bets actually for an over bet. No. Bets for a medium sizing. I was going to say over bet is quite hefty, right? Medium sizing. We check. He should bluff his remaining draws. So maybe I gave him too much draws still on the river. Actually, he's still value betting queen 10. I don't think actually that happens in practice all that much. So actually we lose value there, I would say. Definitely the floated king jack or floated ace 10 could definitely be the case. I think it's close. I think it's close. The more passive he is with these type of hands here on the turn, the more I think our check becomes good and vice versa. But I think on a board as drawy, as the queen 8-5. Give him room with jack 9, 9-10, jack 9, 9-10, then jack, which he has in his range all offsuit. And then you can also still have 6-7, 7-9 suited. So I think there's, and then if we have a queen and an 8, then I think focusing on trying to get those hands to bluff catch versus us is good. King jack, easy call. The 7-8, I'm gonna call some of the time, not this time. So yeah, I do like the way I played my hand. And king jack, I'm going to check back. A hand that he could check raise, check fold, or he's planning on check fold is king queen. So exactly with king jack, I think we don't really mind him realizing, and obviously we give him a little bit of room to maybe bluff the river with a hand like ace-5 or something. He double checks. I do think we should squeeze out a little bit now. No. I learned from my mistakes. Okay. I learned from my mistakes. Reopening the action with pocket sevens. Not gonna reopen the action with this time. He could still play ace for a similar reason that I played queen 8 that way. He could still play jack 9 that way or ace jack that way. If the flop was jack 7, I think it was jack 7, was it jack 9 4? If the flop was jack 7 4 and then turn 9, I'm way more likely to bet the river, because then he can have turned middle pair that he then checks, and then he's going to check all the river with. But he doesn't really turn much 7x, so that's another reason why I didn't bet. And like I said, I think ace jack, for example, is definitely a hand that he could play this way. Faces 3-bet from this Struggy guy. So far he's been playing really tight. Gonna go for a call. And let him do something funky. I think another YouTube video has gone by without me saying this. Literally. He's thinking about it. It's good. Not gonna check raise yet. You could make an argument though. Knights and jacks. How often is he gonna do something random? How often is he gonna do something random? I'm just gonna check raise straight away. I mean, if he has kings and races, he has kings and races. But he could also have nines, tens, jacks. More combos than kings and aces. He can also still have ace king. Obviously, the benefit of calling is that you can keep just a random hand in. How much do we have left? Definitely going for a bet. I think half pot is good. I don't think there's much else to do than jam. But I'm obviously a little bit concerned, especially now that the 10 rolls off jacks. Oh, actually the 10 is pretty bad. But we should get enough random hero calls, I think, from ace king or a random ace 5 of spades to still jam. But if he has kings or aces, I'm not surprised, huh? He's pocket jacks, okay. That's good, huh? That's good.
Give it to me, baby. Give me pocket. What the fuck?
I mean, we're gonna go broke there. The question is how, right? That's usually what you want to figure out. You're going broke, now figure out how best to go broke. A funky player with pocket deuces. I like pocket deuces because it unblocks all bluffs. And we still have some equity with the deuce of spades. And we sometimes win. King 10, I'm gonna make an overcall because this guy's a recreational. Do we win this time? Ace Jack. No, he just had a straight flush. Wacko! Don't put in any money against a straight flush, boy. Yes, I'm sorry. Very sorry. Sancti. Sancti. Don't know how much Sancti. I don't think he's so far. He doesn't really look like the c-bet type, so then I don't think we should bet that. But yeah, the good thing also there with queens is maybe you would have bet checked with jacks, for example, or pocket tens. Obviously not on a 10 river, but you get my point. So what queens also does by check raising is preventing him from making a nitty check back. So yeah, the more crazy you think the guy is, the more you should call. The less crazy you think the guy is, the more you should check raise. Great advice, Wacko. Thank you. Really tempted to do something. But this is literally the worst hand you can have. I opened here pocket threes because these three guys here at the end seemed, I don't know what they are. In this kind of front bets half pot, so usually they 3-bet a little bit less, and if they 3-bet you a little bit less, then you get to see the flop more often with pocket threes, which is obviously amazing. Ace Jack suited, I think we can still 3-bet even though we're very deep. Like I said, it's a hand that can make the nuts, so that's usually quite good. And I'm just gonna start off with a 1/3 c-bet, I believe. Am I? Yes, I am. I opened the ace-9 for the same reason. This guy here is in the big blind. Who seems, I don't know who he is, but given the half pot dunk there. Or he knows something that I don't know. Just, you know, very plausible. Or he's just messing around. Which is also very plausible. I'm gonna 3-bet here with the king queen off. Would sometimes also 3-bet this, but in this case, he seems like not really a recreational, but also not really a pro. Actually, this might be a little bit loose in 500 zoom, but can't be too awful. Gonna start off with a call. It's a very bad turn. Go for a 3-bet here with the king queen suited. Do we call a barrel? I think actually we do call a barrel with 7-8. Not necessarily thrilled about it, but I think we do. Does kind of depend on his strategy though. King queen. Bets again. Weird hand. But then again, this guy is also a bit weird. I think the 8 is not great. I'm not really sure. But why not? King Jack. Okay, good hand. King Queen, I decided to go for the turn bet. I'm also not really sure about this one. Definitely calling. Ace King I would have definitely checked, but I thought King Queen maybe is an okay spot for a call. For a bet. Let's review that 7-8. I will also review this hand. He's thinking about it for ages. What is he thinking about? This is really weird with the timing. Hey? What are you timing about for ages? If you can still jam Ace King. Are you playing Ace King this way? What do you have? I'm gonna make a nitty fold. And review that hand. Raise an overbet. Think easy call on the turn with Jack 8. Interesting river. Think we're gonna win. He had complete bananas.
I'm talking about soiled bananas too, not fresh bananas. Fresh bananas are another story.
We 3-betted pre-flop. See bet at 1/3. Let's start here. Indeed, almost a range bet for a small sizing. Kind of what I expected. Turn is a jack. And we can indeed see we do quite a lot of checking and quite a lot of small betting. That's what I had in my head. I would have probably actually in-game checked Ace King more often, to be honest. And bet King Queen a bit more often. Probably I kind of underestimated how much Ace King he has in his range. The benefit of checking is that he can start bluffing with some of these lower pairs. So those are very low equity holdings that could be turned into a bluff. The downside is we lose some value versus hands that would now call our bet, mainly pocket 10s, 9-10 suited, some ace-9 suited. So we do go for the bet. In position now, like we were deeper, but that's going to change things a little bit because our odds are going to be better. He did go for around a 3x raise, which I guess is this sizing. He should now raise me with jacks. 9s makes all sense, right? Because it unblocks all our value in the top end. You should sometimes raise queen jack. That's a bit, that's mainly with the clubs. Ace king. Pocket 10 some of the time. It already starts folding king queen, yeah, very slightly some of the time, but I think if we would just run through a higher accuracy, we will not fold, so call is indeed the correct play. River is the 7. We check. And now in position, should jam 9s, 10s. Okay, that makes no sense. Okay, so he should actually jam ace king. So that's very bad for us. And given the timing, right, I thought that that was something that he was thinking about, if he should still jam aces or ace king. Ace queen is one of his bluffs as well, main bluff. So that's actually not very good probably for king queen. King queen obviously checking back. He's actually still sometimes jamming king queen, which is a bit funky, probably a bit of a merge play. Those bluffs then mainly come from hand like ace 10 and ace 9. And still pocket 7s with a club. Ooh, it's a bit funky. Pocket 6s with a club. Were they raising the turn? Bet. Actually, yeah, they were some of the time. Okay, so that's not really a hand that I would say everyone would find. So they go in, and then with king queen, we see king queen of spades folding. Because then we don't block king jack suited. And with king queen of diamonds, we do call. But it makes nothing. So I would say that our pot that's in game are pot, so 33%. This is not pot, far from it. It's almost like, this is under half pot. I would say in game, it's fair that we folded. But then also, straight away here at the ending, we had the 7-8. Pre, it was indeed what I already said. It's quite loose. See, in this sim, it's calling some of the time. On the flop, actually, the check raise did enter my mind slightly. And we can indeed see that that's actually what it does want to do some of the time. In my head, actually, I would like to have check raise more hand like 6-5, which I guess it also does, because with the 8, for example, I don't think we would do 7-9, for example, right? 7. No, yeah, these type of hands never. Okay, so that thought I did have, and it's even already falling 10-7. That makes a lot of sense. Then on the turn, we face the king. He has a license to barrel, basically. So if he has license to barrel, it means that it's hard to over barrel, right? If you can already barrel over 70% of your range, in GTO, it's very hard to over barrel. However, we do still see some non-intuitive checks. Like the 8 is very bad because it blocks the 8-10 off, the 8-9 off, the 9, no, the jack 8 off. So these hands, they're actually not always barreling, so he could be over barreling, but then again, a lot of ace highs are going in the mix, like ace 8, ace 9. I don't think people will find this barreling frequency, so I would say that we should probably not be continuing here. We actually continue with a raise. It's quite interesting, blocking, I guess, king 7 suited. I do have to say this is really dependent on the range construction, because he went big on the flop, but this solver only did this 13% of the time. We don't know what his range is. So if he overdoes the 2/3 c-bet, that's definitely going to change how aggressive he can be on the turn. But yeah, I think the bottom call is a6 to a7. Yeah, I think those hands indeed make better calls than the river was, I think, the 6. We check. And actually, he played this hand very GTO. I was a bit confused. And then a7 is indeed our call. Yeah, you don't want to have the 8 or the 9 in your hand. You know, queen 8 still sometimes calls. Yeah, this was just a punt from my side, I think. So thank you all for tuning in. We will be releasing some other videos that I have already recorded. Like I said, I'm out for a couple weeks. But no worries, you're being taken care of. Every week a YouTube video will still be uploaded. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Any questions, leave a comment down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.
Now, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Take a look at other videos that we've made. I'm sure you will like them as well. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. And make sure to join our Discord community so you can stay up to date with new content, new promotions that we have running here at Poker Ambition. And if you want to know more about Poker Ambition and our services, go over to the site pokerambition.com. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next video.